how you doing? I hope you're well. I'm Deanna and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to go through my September TBR. It is wild to me that we're in September, but September is the second round of the Orilium Magical Readathon, and this is a wonderful like D&D magical school-based readathon which has been created by G from the Book Roast. It is one of my favorite readathons. It's super intricate and we are doing our second semester exams for the autumn equinox, which feels weird because I'm in Australia and it's spring, but hey. So as part of this readathon, you have a character and you work towards a calling or a career, and you have certain book prompts that you need to read based on that career. Hopefully that makes sense. I will leave the readathon details linked below so G can explain it a lot more eloquently than I can. I am continuing on my Wild Form Druid quest or calling. I think next year I'll be in like my masters or like the final year to complete it because it wasn't added in the first year. But with this I need to complete 12 books. So unlike the spring edition where you have to just read a book for that class, in this one you have to get certain grades depending on which classes you need to take, which can equal, you know, more books being read. So for example, for my calling I need to get a distinguished in animal studies, so I need to read 3 books. I need to get a qualifying in art of illusion, so I need to read 2 prompts. Astronomy, I just need to get an ordinary, so I need to read 1 book. And then for restoration and shapeshifting, I do need to get a distinguished grade, which is another 3 prompts, which is where you get your 12. So without further ado, let me give you the books that I need to read. So first off, as I said, with animal studies, the prompt to get the ordinary class is to read a debut. And the book I've picked for this prompt is Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena. This is one of my anticipated releases of the year, and it is her debut book, and it is a fantasy romance. We're following a dancer, Vasily, I'm not sure, who was once a dancer in the king's court till she was framed for his murder, and she has been in jail and shackled, which has disabled her. It's been 2 years and suddenly she's been called to face the king, and he offers her a deal: pose as a dancer at the royal gathering and spy on his enemies, and if she does all that she will get her freedom. I also just think this cover is absolutely stunning, and I read the first page because I'm trying to be better at that when I buy books, just based on like what I've seen online and, you know, pretty covers. I've been trying to now like read the first page, and the writing is beautiful. Very excited to get to this one. I like that we have disability rep, and I've heard nothing but great things about it. For the ordinary class I need to read a sequel, which is perfect because I've been trying to read sequels left, right and center, and for this one I've picked The God and the Gishwin by Sophie Kim. This is the second book in the, I think it's called The God and Gumiho series, and this is like an urban fantasy series which deals with Korean folklore. I read the first one earlier this year and really loved it. It ended on a bit of a interesting ending, so I'm excited to see where our god has ended up, and he is a detective, so it kind of has that same urban fantasy vibes that I get from something like Nalini Singh's Guild Hunter, but is sprinkled through with Korean folklore and mythology. Sophie Kim has said this is no way like a direct retelling of the Korean myths, but she's used them to influence her fantasy world, which I love, and it's really made me want to dive into Korean folklore. Very excited to get to this, and I love this cover as well. And then to get my distinguished grade, I need to read a final book, which again, perfect. I want to be finishing series, and I'm going to go with Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. I believe this is the final book. I'm kind of sad that this is the final book because I have been absolutely loving this cozy fantasy following Emily and Wendell. This is set in an alternate world where fairies are real, and Emily and Wendell are both academics who study fairies. And we're now 3 books into their adventure. These stories are told as if they are Emily's travel journals, something that she would use to then write an academic paper or research, and they're filled with little footnotes of references, and every now and then Wendell will take over and write his own chapters, and I've just been absolutely loving this series. I'm excited to dive back into this world. I'm a little sad to see that it's over, but I can always do a reread if I want to. Next exam I need to take is for the Art of Illusion, and for my ordinary class I need to read a book with autumnal vibes, autumnal settings. It's a bit more succinct or descriptive than vibes, and that could be either the setting or the cover. And for this one I'm going to go with Her Favorite Jack-o'-lantern by Rebecca Renwick. This is her beautiful signing edition. It's giving like Halloween Town vibes. I've read one book from her and she seems to do like cozy small town, which was fun. I really don't know what this one is about. I believe this is in her Gummy Bear series, but love the Halloween Halloween vibes. I think that says autumnal and fall. So I'm excited to read this. And also this beautiful signing edition has orange pages, which I think just also adds to the autumn vibes. And then to get my qualifying grade for Art of Illusion, I do need to read a book with technology on the cover. I went backwards and forwards and I realized that I'm not going to be able to squeeze this in by the end of this month, but I'm going with The Final Tour by Lucifer because there is a microphone. Brax is holding a microphone, so that's technology. I googled, does a microphone count as technology? And the answer is yes. So this is the third book in the What Happens on Tour series. I would really love to read and review this before I see Lucy again at Dark Delights in Brisbane, which is happening on the 20th of September. I'll be flying up for that. And this is following an Australian band on a final tour across the major cities in Australia. I love this band. The found family in here is fantastic. The banter, the slang, I just adore it. And I've been really missing these characters, so I'm excited to be back with Charlie, Brax, and the rest of Abandoned Bygone. Then I have astronomy, and I only have to get an ordinary for this one. So my prompt is to read a book, the character that has an invisible illness. And I do like it when, you know, we have that disability rep in my books as someone with chronic pain disorder. So for this one, I'm going to go with Bride of Brutal Hearts by Kate Stevens. This is a new release. I believe it's a fantasy romance with vampires. I know that Kate herself is an endo warrior, so she has included endo rep, and we have a captive bride and 2 vicious vampire kings who claim her as their own. I've seen the art on Instagram. It looks amazing. I've just seen it in my feed a lot and I'm very excited to read this one. So we're following, as I said, those 3 characters. The king's magic should have destroyed our heroine, but instead she made their magic hers. When her sister's name's called for the vampire harvest, she steps forward. Nessa is our main character. So she volunteers as tribute for her sister, even knowing that it's a death sentence. She does it because she feels that her sister has a future where she herself owns a dusty bookshop, has a chronic illness, and just assumed that she's gonna die one way or another. Why not do that, sacrificing herself for her sister? So she's claimed as the newest mortal bride, a living sacrifice to the 2 wicked kings. The conqueror, who's ruthless and imposing, and his icy demeanors concealing his fiery intensity, and the butcher, charming and capricious, his divine beauty disguises his cruel desires. And it's a chunky book. It's like 750 odd pages, so I'm excited to see what I think of this one. And I do love a vampire story, and as we're getting closer to spooky season, I think this is gonna scratch that itch. My next exam I need to pass is Restoration, another 3 books for this one. And for Ordinary, I need to read a book with a single POV. I'm gonna do a reread of Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I am like 95% sure that this is a single POV. The 4th book finally just came out this year, Silverborn, and it's been a while, so I want to go ahead and reread this series. This is a wonderful, whimsical middle grade fantasy, and we're following a girl called Morrigan Crow who is considered cursed. Anything that happens bad in her town, whether that's deflating someone's souffle to someone getting hit by a car, it's her fault. And on her 11th birthday, I'm pretty sure, it is deemed that she is going to die. However, a man from the Wondrous Society and Nevermore pops in, a man named Jupiter North, and bids on her to be his apprentice and takes her over to Nevermore, where she has to survive some trials to enter the Wondrous Academy, and it's all going well. She may get to survive, but plot twist, she doesn't have any magical abilities that would mean that she'd be part of this secret society school. And it's just a really fun ride. I love the magical hotel. I love Jupiter North. He's this kind of like eccentric mentor character, almost gives me like the Mad Hatter vibes in some instances, but very excited to be back in this world. So perfect time to squeeze this reread in. The next one is interesting. So for Ordinary, the next one is Random Country Generator. I can't remember if G said the book had to be set there or from an author from there. Depending on what country we get, we will see. So we spin 5 times on this random country wheel and from there we'll get our prompt. So here we go, leaving it to chance. First country is Tuvalu? I'm gonna guess it's an island. Let's have another one. Apologies if I've definitely said that wrong. Next country is Sweden. Okay, do I have anything set in Sweden? Third country is Mauritania? I'm very bad at this. Sweden is looking like the forefront. Turkey? I could do Turkey, actually. I think, obviously, depending on the last country, I'm leaning towards Turkey, I think. But the final country is, drumroll please, South Korea. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I still think I'm gonna go with Turkey though. And this because I think I have a myth retelling. That could work. Let me check. This actually worked out well. I was a bit terrified about what this is going to happen just because there's a lot of room for chance and I don't have a lot of, which I really need to sort out, but I don't have a lot of translated fiction, which is definitely something I want to get better at. And now that Amplify, I know where it is and it's close by, I'm probably going to have to visit their store and peruse their shelves. But I'm going to go with Turkey and I'm going to go with the second book in the Homeric Chronicles by Janelle Rhiannon, which is Rise of Princes. This is a Trojan War retelling and Troy is the lost city of Troy, or Ilium, is in Turkey. I enjoyed the first book. The first book was really like the lead up and the build up. We get introduced to all the players, which is the Trojan War is my favorite folklore, thanks to my mum, as she taught me the story as I was growing up. She was in love with the rock opera that John English created called Paris, which tells the story of the Iliad, or the Trojan War. It's wider than the Iliad because the Iliad just focuses in on Achilles. So we got to meet all the players and see what set the wheel in motion in terms of the war starting. At the end of the first book, we were very much set and sail to Troy. So this one will be set there and looks like it is focused on the actual war, which is set in Turkey. So I feel pretty confident and happy that I can continue on with this series. And then to get my distinguished, this was like the hardest, I feel like these were the hardest prompts, was to give an author a second chance. Let me have a look. There's not many on here. Actually, there was two authors I was going to go with and I'm going to go with Helena Hunting. I really loved A Lie for a Lie, which is a hockey romance that she has, which is the second generation to her Puck series. I, however, DNF'd the Puck series earlier this year because I just didn't care. So I'm going to give her a second chance and continue on with the series I did enjoy and pick up Favor for a Favor. And I have no idea what this one is about, but we have, it looks like a hockey player, Bishop, has joined the Seattle's NHL expansion team. He thought it was the start of something great, but nothing ever goes the way he expects. Take his introduction to his new neighbor, Stevie. She came rolling in as a hot mess, making a racket while trying to get into his team captain's apartment. He thinks that's a little bit weird because he knows that his team captain is married and didn't know who this random woman was. I believe it is his younger sister, and Bishop ends up getting injured and, you know, the rest of the team is on the road for games and Stevie is there to take care of him. So it's like got like that whole like caretaking thing. So yeah, I'm going to give Helena Hunting a second chance and pick up this one. Oh, sorry. The angle's a bit off, my battery died. And then for my last exam, I need to get a distinguished in shapeshifting. And for the first prompt, to get the ordinary class, I need to read a genre blend. And for this, the first book that sprung to mind was the Nevermore Bookshop series by Stephanie Holmes. This is like a perfect mix of a cozy mystery meets a very steamy Why Choose Paranormal Romance, and I love it. We're following Mina, who is dealing with the fact that she is losing her eyesight and is becoming blind due to a backstabbing best friend, lost out on continuing on in her internship with a very renowned, kind of edgy, avant-garde fashion designer in New York. So she has come back home to England, kind of licking her wounds and trying to figure out her next steps while coming to terms with her loss of eyesight. There she ends up kind of low-key bullying her way into a job at the secondhand bookshop in her village, and there's something special about this bookshop because it's run by Heathcliff of Wuthering Heights infamy, and his housemates are Moriarty, the Napoleon of crime from Arthur Conan Doyle's Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and Quoth, who is a hybrid raven shifter who is the amalgamation of the Raven and the nameless narrator in Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And this has just been such a fun time. I love the relationship development we've got with me Mina, Heathcliff, Hoth, and Moriarty. True to like an English cozy mystery, there is a mystery in each of the books which we've wrapped up, but we're starting to bring in this like overarching mystery. So the next book I'm up to is the 6th book, which is A Novel Way to Die. So very excited to dive into that one. I am also part of Stephanie Holmes' like Spooky Bat Street team, so if that sounds at all interesting, linked in my description box below will be a discount code if you want to buy any books directly from her. The code is here, but it is always linked down the bottom of my videos. So I just love her. I love, she kind of got the spooky, quirky, it's just amazing, and I'm very excited to continue on with this series. I'm trying to read my handwriting. To get my qualifying, I need to read a book where the title starts with a D, N, or A, and I'm going to go with Dead of Spring by Colette Rhodes. I have really been missing Colette Rhodes' writing, and this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I've put it on a TBR before, but this time it's going to really make me pick it up. She's written one of my favorite series, which is the State of Grace series, which is a Why Choose paranormal romance, which has like angels and demons woven in with Greek myths. I love what she did there, so I'm excited to see what she does with like a traditional Greek myth. I am not 100% sure if it's set in like antiquity or it's set in like a modern day setting, but I just love her writing style, and this is nice and short considering I've got a few chunky books on the list. I'm excited to see what she does with this myth. Last but not least, to get my distinguished grade for shapeshifting, I need to read a book with multiple POVs. Now, is it me if I don't put an Omegaverse on this list? Probably not. So I'm gonna go with King of Clubs by Alicia Williams. This is a Why Choose Omegaverse, Rockstar Omegaverse. I have heard amazing things about Alicia Williams. She's an Omegaverse author who I built a massive pre-order on at Babe, but haven't actually picked up any of her books. I did start reading this one as I was looking through my shelves to try and find a book with multiple POVs, and I really enjoyed it. We're following, it looks like, some foster kids. Jade, who is a foster kid, and then in one of her homes she meets a boy named Zane and his best friends Everett and Griffin, and they are boys who would always protect her against the harsh reality of her world until they aged out of the system. I think they're 2 to 3 years older than her. In the meantime of them aging out of the system, they've started a band, and all the promises that they made to her were broken. They left her behind, making a name for themselves as rock stars, and never looked back. It's a few years later, Jade herself has aged out of the foster care system, and she is broken and closed off until it's her turn to leave. I had nothing and nowhere to go until I found the High Roller Amigas. I believe the High Roller Amigas is like a joint world. I do love that indie authors, or just authors in general, seem to do that, so might be a good point to see what else is in that series. But from what I read of it, was intrigued, and I love a Rockstar, I love Amigaverse, I love a Why Choose, so this one sounds pretty perfect to me. So there you go. There are the 12 books on my TBR to pass my second semester exams in my 3rd year of the Wild Form Druid. Comment down below and let me know if you're taking part in the readathon, and if so, what calling are you aiming for? Or you can leave me a, let's go with an umbrella emoji for Nevermore, because if you know, you know, they have a whole transport system based on umbrellas, and it's very cute. If you'd like to see more content from me, please like and subscribe. I'll be attempting to post new videos every Sunday. Linked in the description box below will be all these books and links to my social media channels if you'd like to talk to me or follow me on any other corner of the internet. Anyway, that's all from me today, guys. I hope you're all kinds of well, and I'll speak to you soon. See ya!